Yeah, you too. I'm stoked.
Yeah, man. We're still waiting for some people to come in before we get started. So if we just want to talk while we're waiting, I don't know how many people is actually going to come. It might just be us today, guys. But
You
Never
never
know.
what you
know.
been working on, man? What you been doing?
We're trying to close. I started doing a little JV deal, and dispo out a 10 door and a 4 door in Texas.
Nice.
So, yeah, what's nice about this 10 door is it's creative. Uh, and I have a buyer in Houston that's pretty game for it. It's in Central Texas, so it's not entirely his location, but he is going for something like that. And then we just found out that they have 10 more that they're willing to offload as well.
Oh, wow. That sounds like
Yeah.
potential.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's all happening quick.
That's good, man. That's how it usually happens. Me and David will be sitting around and we're like, "What's going on?" And then next thing you know, everything's happening at once, and you're real busy. You know.
Yeah, no, it was getting kind of slow for a second, and I was trying to make some things happen, and then yeah, and then this kind of just like fell into my lap. I met a guy that I actually live next to, which is funny. I'm like an hour away from him. He's in Vancouver. Um and it's I don't know if you guys can hear this, but it's raining so hard over here right now. It's gnarly.
I can't hear it. No.
Yeah, I guess we're getting 5.5 inches of rain uh today. And it almost seems like it's not gonna stop raining forever.
So the
Yeah.
snow's turned to rain.
What's that?
The snow has turned to rain.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like Mount Baker, what I live next to, is probably getting multiple feet of snow. I would say 10 feet of snow out of this, on the top. But yeah, the ski area is probably just getting wrecked right now. And I know that there's a lot of flooding happening right now just because the dams, everything can't really keep up. And we have king tides happening out here in Washington. So um, it's not going to be a good situation for a lot of farms around here.
Wow.
Yeah, a little scary.
Looks like we got some people coming in now. David, do you want to go ahead and start the introduction and do what you do?
All right, everybody, let's get it going. First off, this is not financial or legal advice, so consult a professional. We are going to record the video and we are going to replay it. We're going to share it, of course, in our group and stuff. So just so everybody knows that. We hope everybody kind of keeps their cameras on and so forth. So first off, anybody got any wins they want to share? I mean, Preston was given a pretty good one there. It sounds like maybe a win in that one.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it. It's essentially gonna turn into 2 wins with the 4 door. They're really just offloading all their houses, and they're a lot of them are rentals, and they're all occupied right now, which is really nice. So the 10 doors fully occupied, the 4 door is fully occupied. The 10 doors potential to be creative. They're they're down to do it. We're looking at the terms right now, and they seem pretty good to be honest with you. But it's really up to my buyer's potential on that one.
Where's this at? I missed that.
That is going to be in Central Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, both of those are actually in Central Texas. And then I have a friend out there that's looking for the 4 door. So hopefully he gets that one. I think that's going to be a good option for him because he's looking for something that he can manage
Yep.
within his town, and within a drive. So I think that's going to be a really sweet gig for him.
Cool.
Okay, very good. Sounds like a good one, man. Anybody else got any wins they want to share? Anything good happened this week so far?
Not just following up for me. A lot of follow up.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what this business is about, is following up. And we're in a constant state of follow up all the time. That's probably some of the best things that we've done through the last couple, 2 or 3 years, Travis and I, is setting up our drip campaigns.
See,
And
that's something I never do. Once I got with them, through talking with them, it was yeah or no, and that was it for me. But I've learned that's where the deal's at in the follow up.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we're sometimes dealing with people that, you know, maybe we've been after 18 months, 2 years, we've been doing stuff, sending postcard, doing this, doing that,
You know,
and and all of a sudden, we get a call in a red hot, and you've been like, hey man, where you been for like 2 years?
Yeah.
We've been at this thing for a while, but yeah, so that just happens, and that's something that I never really done a great job at through the years is the follow up. So, we really set out in the last year or two to develop our kind of our systems and processes and make sure, that we're touching them postcard, touching them with the email, we're touching them with a text, we're touching them with a cold call, several different ways that we're touching them, several different campaigns that we run like that. So, that's helped us a lot down the stretch.
I don't I don't usually stop following up until they go off on me or tell me they sold it. It's either hey Travis, don't ever call me again, or Travis, I've sold it, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm your best friend. I'm Travis. I'm trying to reach out to you. I'm like that with everybody. I feel like
oh,
if you can do that and you can build relationships and you can be like that with everyone, you're going to treat your sellers really really good. So that's just me. I love to follow up. That's my favorite part of this business.
Yeah, yeah, that's key. That's key. Is just keep following up because, what I've learned through the years is you never know. People get hot to sell by a life event. Something happens in their life, a death, uh, a tax ticket, just all kinds of things, unemployment. There's things that happen, and all of a sudden they go from a cold lead or a warm lead to red hot.
right.
So it's just about kind of being in front of them all the time as much as possible. When that event happens, you're there because you can follow up, and this live event happens, and all of a sudden your competition gets something in front of them. Boom,
Yeah.
call them, sell it
Exactly.
to them, and you're like, man, we've been following those people for 2 years.
It shows you're
So
serious. Yeah, it shows you're serious. It shows that you really want to buy that property. If somebody calls me for 2 years, once a month, every few months, every 90 days, and just says, hey, I'm still here and I'm still interested. When that time comes, I hear this so many times. They say, Travis, you stayed in touch with me this long. I had to give you the chance. You showed me you were serious. You showed me that you're interested. Sometimes we have to engage with people a little bit more. We have to initiate because people are shy and they don't want to initiate first. That's a key. We have to make that first run at it.
yep, it's absolutely critical. So what we were going to talk about today, we Travis and I've been talking to a lot of people that's in the group here, and lots of times maybe stuff that we're talking about ain't exactly geared towards what you're looking for, and sometimes it may be, but when you've been in this business a little while, just one little nugget, one little something that you hear can change everything for you. And I found that to be so true through the years. Somebody says something, and I perk up, and I'm like, oh, it's the first time I heard that. You know, so hopefully, when we're going through these different things, we can maybe you pick a little something up here or there. So what we're talking about today is it's Christmas. There's so many gurus out there, man, and people's feeds are just full of people trying to sell them systems and trying to sell them this and trying to sell them leads and trying to sell them all these different things. And I'm kind of taking it back old school today, and we're just going to talk about how to simplify your business, how to simplify your business partnerships, man, and how to keep stuff simple. I'm a football coach too. People, they refer to me as I coach high school football for a long time, and you know what we teach with our players is simple as fast. When a player starts thinking, his feet stop moving. He gets slow. So we want to make everything as simple as possible when we're coaching a football team. We want to make sure that we simplify the offense, simplify the defense. And it's the same in business. I kind of carry that same philosophy into the business world is, let's keep things simple and let's try to make money that way because simple is fast. So what we want to talk about is, we don't need um, 10,000 leads. We don't need CRMs. We don't need all those things that people think that you have to have these things to be successful. When I was first started in the business, we didn't have email. We didn't have cell phone. There were so many things that we we didn't have. So what we had to do is be creative in the way that we contacted people. So, it's kind of guerrilla marketing, but I still do it to this day. Travis and I both do it. And I know Travis, he gets these random phone calls from me. I'm like, look up this address, and it's me out driving around looking at properties. And we've got all these systems, but we still lean on our intuition. You get that point where you can just drive by and look at a house and go, yeah, something's going on here. You know. So um, what got me on this topic was yesterday, Travis and I were talking about topics and what we wanted to talk about. And I went to one of our properties and was dropping off some material for guys working there. And I came outside. I was around the back of my truck and the mailman pulled up. He said, "Hey, you the guy that bought the house?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the guy that bought the house." He's like, "Yeah, yeah. I heard it was some investor guy." I said, "Oh, yeah? You found that out?" Yeah. He said, "I've been in this neighborhood. I've been delivering it here for longer than I care. I know everything." I said, "Yeah, probably do, man." He said, "Yeah." So I knew the family here a good bunch. So he knew everything about it. Well, at the same time, next door, the local water company was there. Guy's out of his truck in the snow. He's out there with a water wrench doing his thing. And I said, "Man, I'm glad I ain't doing that out in the snow today." And he's like, "Yeah, man." I said, "Shutting the water off over there?" "Yeah, yeah." He said, "They're frequent flyers." So I got all that at one of our properties. Now, what do we get there? Well, we got a mailman that was willing to talk, knows everything going on in the neighborhood. He's mail carrier. We got the water company over there saying they're frequent flyers. They're kicking the water off. So what I do, I call Travis. "Hey, man, house next door there. Let's look that up. Let's make sure. Let's send them a postcard. Let's get some stuff out to them." So that's how simple it was. Now we use Deal Machine, and lots of times I'll log on myself when I see a house, and we'll send a postcard, and we'll do those things. But what I wanted to do is kind of open your mind a little bit. Now, some of you work in remote markets, and it's a lot tougher to do that. But for a lot of you that's looking for deals and trying to get yourself going, it's right there in your own neighborhoods. Ricky, in your neighborhood, you got a good demeanor about you. Uh, you'd be great with this type of stuff. So basically what you lean on is you think about these types of things for your leads is um, barbershops, hair salons. In these smaller communities where you live, these people know everything. They know everything. They know who's selling, who passed away. They know who the family is. They know. And so those are people that you can lean on. People at your local grocery stores in your neighborhoods. Uh, how many people know cops, deputies, uh, water company, city utility workers,
Ambulance
compliance people?
drivers,
What's that?
ambulance drivers, just all of these local people who are out in these communities every day, meeting people, seeing people. I'm sure there's a cop somewhere right now that keeps getting calls about squatters and vagrants coming in this vacant house, right? So this is what David's talking about, just being a little bit loud, telling people what you're doing. Tell
Yeah, just
everybody what you're doing.
just talking to people, man. You'll be amazed at how many deals we get. I just bought a house a couple months ago. It came from my insurance agent, and it was a smoking hot deal. Wasn't on no list, wasn't on nothing. Just a smoking hot deal. And it came from my agent who knew the family, who had the house insured, had a death in the family. Of course,
Yeah.
the family was talking to him. Boom, I bought the property. So that's the type of things that we're talking about. When we're doing this, it's those people. I find that UPS and your postal service people are absolute invaluable sources, man. They know everything and they know what's happening. They know who's passed away. They know who in the neighborhood is connected to the house that's sitting over here empty. They can tell you. All you got to do is ask them. And if you look into your circle, your sphere of influence, you will find that you have a lot of these same people in your circle that you can reach out to and talk to. Now, what I found when you talk to them, if you mention it once, it won't work. But you got to keep talking to them. You got to reach out to them all the time. You know, 6, 8, 9, 10 times. Keep talking to them. Hey, if has anybody, you've seen anybody in the neighborhood? You know, see an empty house, somebody's passed, anything like that. And you'll be stunned how many leads that you'll generate. And these are not cold leads. These are hot leads. They're warm. If a cop or somebody from the city or the utility company or somebody like a mail carrier tells somebody, hey, I know a guy, David, he buys houses and he'll buy stuff like this that's maybe needs some work and so forth, so on. I could I could give him your information if you want me to. Hey, bam, that's a hot lead.
There's
So
nothing
now I've
hotter.
got authority. What's that, Trav?
There's nothing hotter than that lead. If somebody tells David that has a problem, to call Travis. I know Travis. Travis will take care of you. He buys houses. Call Travis. And that person calls me. It's almost like I'm a celebrity to them. Or I'm not a celebrity, that I'm a friend or a friend of a friend. And the conversation is just so much smoother than if it's a total stranger. Those are the best leads. Like we talk about PPC, spending this money, how warm those leads are. You can't get warmer than a referral lead. That is the best lead. But people, it's harder. It's more relationship based. You have to really, like David said, it's kind of like if you're traveling, you're traveling, you might not be hungry, but you see an advertisement on the interstate and you keep seeing that over and over again. But it's not really going to hit you that you want to stop until your stomach starts rumbling. So, these people are going to know that David buys houses. But if David's not consistently in front of them, like a sign on the interstate, right? When they finally get hungry, they finally find somebody that you can help, they're not going to remember you. So just like you would do somebody if you have a relationship with somebody or you have a crush on somebody, you always want to be in front of their mind, right? You don't want them to forget about you, then somebody else is going to come in. That's what happens. It really does. It happens so easily. Like, because people are just satisfied. Okay. We're so satisfied with business these days. Satisfied means that, like, this is kind of off topic, but I got to mention it real quick. So I just finished a book called Raving Fans. Okay. And Raving Fans teaches you how to give a little bit 1% more and to give a little bit more than everybody else. That way, your customers aren't just satisfied customers. A satisfied customer is somebody who's okay with cold food. They're okay with things being a little bit late because that's what they're used to. So we don't want the people we're building relationships with to be satisfied. We want them to know that they can trust us. We want to be in front of them all the time. That way, when they do send somebody our way, they trust that Ricky is going to take care of them. Sorry, I keep going, David. I just, you know how I get.
Yeah, you do those types of things, and I've got people out there that send me leads and send me stuff, and of course I take care of them, and I'll send them gift cards and gas cards, and I do a lot of stuff like that. That isn't in your standard of practice with a lot of people that's teaching all this stuff. So this is just good old country boy marketing, getting out, talking to people, getting to know people with the city, getting to know people. I used to have a guy, and this is kind of more, but he was a buddy of mine. He owned a funeral home, and I used to get a lot of leads, and he would have families reach out to me. I mean, so I could provide them a service. They were looking for somebody that lots of times to buy the house, buy it quick, don't have to fool with nothing, don't want to clean nothing out. The kids live out of state. We want to be done with it.
Yeah.
So there I was. Another thing that you can do is when you're out in the evenings and you're walking, some of you go out for a walk your dog, pick neighborhoods and walk the neighborhoods. It's
Yes.
so easy.
Dial
Walk,
in on those neighborhoods. Yeah.
figure out your neighborhoods that you want to be in and walk those neighborhoods and find the empty houses. Talk to people out on the porch, talk to people in the yard. You're from the area, you talk like them, you act like them, you're one of them. So they're comfortable with you. They're comfortable. You come to West Virginia, you walk a neighborhood, people gonna know if you ain't from the neighborhood. You ain't from West Virginia. So it's that way everywhere.
Yeah.
So just, if you're doing those types of things, you'll be surprised at how many conversations will get started and how many times people will talk to you and tell you about other people and tell you about this person and tell you about somebody else in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They
People
know
want to
all
help.
neighbors know everybody's business, right?
Yeah.
So they can help you and they can turn you on. And we've bought so many deals. I would hate to say the deals I bought from just that, from driving along. We're driving along. I'm driving here a while back. I see a house stop, get the address. I'm looking it up, in out front of the house. I send it to Travis, send a postcard, and it was the people over in Tays Valley that had the house with the structural problem.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember
red
going.
hot.
That was a good. I was actually impressed that you just drove by it and could, because when I got on the phone with these people, you should have just heard as soon as they heard I wanted to sell their house, they just opened up to me. Like I didn't have to qualify, I didn't have to do anything. And David just could tell by the outside of the house that this stuff was going on. I mean, that's pretty good. That has a good intuition. It really does. But no, and getting out there and you don't have to do a lot of like do some relationship building, talk to people, but you can still do stuff online too. Like
Mhm.
we were talking about that last night. Like I utilize Facebook groups. And when I say Facebook groups, I don't mean like I'm going to go to Facebook and go to wholesale real estate groups. No. I'm talking about, let's say, community boards, buy and sell groups. Like I have one community board. It's like let's say Charleston. Okay, Charleston's my city, so Charleston Community Board, right? You go to this group, and like I'll join 50 groups locally. Okay, this is a good tip for you guys. Okay, and if you do this consistently, it builds social proof because people are seeing you post consistently, and the more that you post, people are like, oh man, he's been posting for 2 years now. He's got to be serious. He can't be like the other scammers because he stayed consistent with this, right? So anyway, let's say you join 20, 30, 40, 50 Facebook groups local to your market that you're in. It can't be these investment groups. It's got to be groups where actual people are in. Buy and sell, yard sale groups. Every place has them. Okay. So you join these groups, and then every single month or every 4 to 5 weeks, you're going to post in all of these groups one time. Okay. So you pick one day out of the month, and let's say you post in all those groups, and you just say, hey, I'm local and I'm looking to buy an as is fixer upper house. Message me if you have them. Okay. If you do this consistently for 12 months, you're going to start seeing people's going to start seeing you. So not only are people going to message you and say, hey, I have a house for sale, because I get deals like that too, but you're going to get messages that say, hey, there's a house on my street and it's been vacant for 3 years. You should look into it. Here's the address. Or my neighbor or my friend. Like this all comes together, all of the stuff that we're talking about. So if you're spending your time just driving around, you got it. You don't even have to have deal machine. Driving around, you have a car, you have a notebook, you have a phone, you have a computer. This is how you really build this business without spending 500 thousands of dollars a month and not dealing with agents. Like this is how you do it. And you do what David said is you pick these, like I call them Mayberries. Okay. Mayberry is Andy Griffith. That's where everybody wants to live at Simple Town. Right. So if you can find these Mayberries around your area and you just start driving around and building a list. So instead of typing in deal machine Mayberry and calling everybody or calling the niche list, you go in these Mayberries and you drive around and you pick 30 properties, 20 properties. Right. And then you take those 30 properties and you reach out to call, you reach out to text, you email, you leave a note on the door. You're hitting this list every way possible. And it's only 30 houses. Your chances of getting a deal is really high without calling thousands and thousands of people. And then you did that 30 list. Guess what? Now I can move to the Mayberry that's across the river, across the bridge, and I can do that little Mayberry. And you can focus on all of these little towns. And it's really easy to do. That's what I would do if I was just getting started. That's what I did when I got started. And I would still do that now. I wouldn't invest in, the CRMs, the AI follow-ups, like all of that stuff works. But if you don't know how to do what David's talking about, and you can't go out in a neighborhood with your eye and see, you know what? I bet you there's something going on here, then that AI stuff's not really helping you. It's doing the job for you. And then once these regulations come and AI is outlawed, then what are you going to do? So
Exactly.
build the foundation first is what we're saying. Like we're not saying, once you simplified it, go and unsimplify it and spend as much money as you want and invest in yourself. But just starting out, we believe this is probably the best way for people to go. Relationships, starting off building small lists. Because yeah, you'll get a lot of practice hearing no when you're calling a high equity list and nobody wants to sell. But if it's a small list and there's distress, there's going to be still people that say they don't want to sell, they're not interested, but your chances are higher. Your chances are way higher.
I like that. I much rather work a small niche list like that than 4,000 tax delinquents that, something like that. I mean, I feel like you got a better chance, like you say, doing that method.
Yeah.
You're in your own market,
Exactly.
your own people. You talk like them, you walk like them. I mean, so it's easy to strike up conversations.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk to people sitting on the porch.
Yep.
And
There's a house across the street.
Shannon
There's-
asked, what about the area you live in? Like, what if it's not the most desirable or appreciating area? What do you think, David?
yeah, I'd find another area close to me,
Yep. Close,
and I
as
would
close
work
as possible.
close as possible because what we want to teach you guys is that, we're not selling courses. This is the way you do the business. This is the way you make money. This is the way you get the money to buy all that other stuff. Is you start like this and you get out there and you ground and pound and you drive neighborhoods, you walk your dog in neighborhoods, you do these things, and this is how you find the gold in these markets. This is how we find great flips and I mean just red hot deals.
And
Didn't come from a postcard. It
And
just
if you're
came
virtual, if you are virtual and you can't do that, then
right.
you have to find somebody that's in that local area to be that person to help you. Because if you don't have somebody in that area with you, I've done virtual deals. I know it's hard. It's hard. You don't know the area. You don't know the people. You don't know how people act. You don't know anything. So I would always try to find somebody local to help out, at least until you learn the area and learn the market. Then, you can still do a lot of stuff by phone call. You can still build relationships by Zoom. Look at all of us on here today. We've never met each other, but we can still develop rapport with people. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, even in a virtual market. You still got to, like, if you're in a virtual market, you need to go and join a bunch of virtual groups. Like, whatever that market is, treat it like you're local. Start building relationships with people. Find out what's going on in that area. It'd be a little harder to find the water company guy and the UPS driver, but still.
Yeah, you can go out in these smaller markets and work town hall. Folks working in town hall, man, they are an absolute abundance of information. I used to work magistrate court in our county where I used to live. We had three magistrates, had magistrate court. Well, obviously, anytime you're evicting tenants or you're doing these things, you got to go through magistrate court and you got to file, you know, evictions and you got to do all that work. And I constantly worked those people in there, and I would buy them stuff, bring them donuts, buy them Christmas gifts, and when they would have those landlords say, "Man, I'm so sick of this stuff," I'd give this thing away. And they say, "Hey, we know somebody that buys rentals." Boom. They'd hook me up. I'd get these random calls from the Logan County Courthouse. And they say, "Hey, this guy, and he said for you to call him, and here's his number." And so I would get deals like that. I would, that's how easy this is. It doesn't have to be as difficult as people will make it out to be.
Yeah.
One last story is one time I was at I used to coach travel softball. My daughter played. I coached from like 10U to 18U. I was at a college softball game. Some of the girls that I had coached were playing for West Virginia State University here in West Virginia, and I had on a I buy a house a sweatshirt, hoodie. Lady walks by, she stops and she points at me. She said, "Is that true?" And I'm standing there not really thinking about what I had on. I'm like, well, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Do you really buy houses?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I buy houses." She said, "Do you buy rentals?" And I'm like, "Sure." "Are they houses?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "We've got a couple of duplexes and then six other single family houses." And said, "My dad's passed away. It fell to my mom. She has no interest. We want to sell." And so one thing led to another. And of those eight, I still own six today. And I bought them with an I Buy Houses hoodie on. How low cost is that? The barrier to entry was really, really small. And that's what we're talking about is you don't have to spend a bunch of money.
Just
Use your
more
head,
work.
just work, get on the street, drive your neighborhoods, walk your dog, talk to people, use the people in your circle, the UPS, the FedEx, the utility workers, people you know in your community that do that stuff. Church is what a great connection and what a great sphere of influence is your local church. They know everything and a lot of people there that, you don't have to solicit them for deals. You just need to make sure that they know what you're doing, that you're buying houses and stuff like that. And they're a definite network for you right off the top. So just keep that in mind and just know that you don't have to buy all that stuff. I made a living doing this stuff and we didn't have any list to buy. We didn't have any of that stuff. We used to write letters, mail those letters, make phone calls, meet people, talk to people, and made done just as well as I do today.
It
So
that's the biggest thing. You just, that people like right now more than ever, that's what people respect. People want a real human being that's talking to them, that's not an AI and all these systems. Like people know, I promise you, people know if you have 1,000 follow-ups and you have your AI doing all these follow-ups, and then when you actually get on the phone with somebody, you have no clue about them, but they've opened up to you in text messages and all this stuff that your AI is talking to, but you don't know any of this stuff. How does that make you look? Like you don't know me, you don't care about me. People want to know you care. So that's why when you're out in the community and you're giving back and and they see that, they know that you care. And that's what makes you different, David, than the guy that's calling Charleston, West Virginia from Texas that knows nothing about here, nothing about them and doesn't care. They're a salesman while we're just people that's here to make things easier on you. That's where you want to be. That's
I,
where I
I,
want to be.
I
I
would
want
hate
to.
to say, yeah, I would hate to say the number of houses that I've bought through the years that I went to the house, it was vacant, grass was waist high, up on the porch. I look in the mailbox on the porch, there's We Buy Houses postcard, there's Home Investors postcard, there's all that stuff. It's all piled up. And I drive the neighborhood, I look down the street, and there's people sitting on the porch. So I march my happy hind end down the street, talk to those people, ask for some help. What do you know about the house up here? Oh, that's so and so. They live in Virginia and then they live wherever. And before you know it, I buy the house. And there's all this marketing been spent, all these postcards piled up, all this stuff. And I buy the house because I reach out, I talk to people. They reach out for me, talk to the family. They won't give you the family's number. They'll call
Yeah.
them. Some guy was here and he's from the area. He's local and he's buying houses and said he was asking about your house. I give them my number and bam, it works. They'll call you back. They'll talk to you, and I've done that over and over and over again. The same scenario.
Can y'all
And I
see
always
these?
like it when I see all them postcards laying out there.
Can you
What's
see
that,
this?
Travis? Now back it up. Oh yeah.
All right.
Post
Those
it
right
then.
there. If you drive around and you find these houses and you leave little notes on house doors that says, "Hey, I'm local. I'm in the neighborhood. I have a question about the house. Call me. Travis, phone number." You leave, and let's say you only do this on those houses that we told you about earlier, those 30 houses in Mayberry, right? I promise you're going to get calls. I promise you. You leave out 100 of these, you might get a deal. You might.
What what we would call Mayberry is 12 to 1,500 square foot ranch style homes, 3 bedroom, 2 bath.
Yep. In an
That's
area where the milkman still comes out and the USPS guy can come out without getting attacked by a pit bull. That's Mayberry.
They know
Okay.
everybody in the neighborhood, but that is tends to be what we do really well is in that style of home, in that price point. There'll be some split levels, homes built in the 70s, maybe early 60s, even the 80s. That's where we do well. We don't do as well, in the higher end homes, 3,000 square foot plus. It's usually in the pocket, 1,200 to 1,500 square foot. A lot of those ranch style homes that had a one-car garage that they've boxed the garage in now and made it a pat. He made it like a family room. You know the house I'm talking about. The brick rancher boxed the garage in, made it a family room, and they got the parking pad in front of it. Those are the houses that we do well with this sort of thing. So just to kind of give you a visual of what we try to go after. And when you try to sell those houses and you sell them to flippers and people that do investment, every flipper, everybody that invests, and I'll tell Travis this, is I get excited about a rancher because they're so much easier to deal with. I love buying ranchers. I'll buy those quicker than I'll buy anything else because it's just so much easier. You know, it's easy to deal with. I don't have plumbing in the ceiling. I don't have all these different problems to go with. It's just a single story home, easy to put a roof on, easy to do anything with, easy to put heating and cooling in, easy to run our electrical in. So ranchers, I've probably made more money on them than any house I've ever bought, ranch style. So
See, guys, David's giving you some real value, and here's why. Because as wholesalers, right? Most of us are wholesalers on this call, and we're dealing with buyers all the time. David is giving you guys a one-on-one look right. Well, look right now how a buyer thinks. So when you're sending out these deals to buyers and they're not interested, it's a lot deeper than just numbers. And they look at the house, they're looking at how the house was built, what's going on there. So David thinks like a buyer, not a wholesaler. That's why he's like, oh, I love ranchers. You don't hear wholesalers ever say that. You'll never hear Travis say, oh, I just love to deal with ranchers. I don't care. I'll deal with any house that can make me money. But we have to think about our buyers. So thank you, David, for kind of like bringing that up because I think sometimes we don't think about the buyer. And then we're like, oh, well, why doesn't anybody want this? Why
well,
do I have to cancel?
if you think about a ranch home, it's 18 to 80 and then some. Okay. Ranch homes are universal. Everybody can buy a ranch home. Everybody can live in one. As you move along in years, it's harder to have that two-story home with a utility room down in the basement. See what I'm saying? I don't want to buy that. You know, I'm 56. I don't want to buy that. I ain't running those clothes up and down the steps anymore. I ain't hauling that Walmart, you know, in and out and up and down steps. I don't want to do that stuff. So when you buy the ranch style homes, you open it up to the entire market. There's nobody that's gonna shun that house. People maybe with handicap, knee problems, anything like that, man, they like ranch style homes. And if you guys are in this business any at all, you'll start to hear people say, man, I want to get out of this big two-story house with the basement. I'd like to get in a ranch style home, something a little easier for me and the missus to get around. So,
And going back to simplifying it, Preston over here triggered me with his post, his thing in the background. One thing I will like to say about being simple, okay? One thing I've learned, I haven't been doing this as long as David, but I've been going to almost 10 years now. One thing that I've learned is what you put on something really isn't going to convince by anybody of anything, right? Like it doesn't matter how you word something, what you say. If somebody wants to sell and are interested, it doesn't matter what's on the postcard or on the post-it note. But one thing I will say is the more it seems corporate, the more it seems like you're a house buying company, like WeBuyHouses.com, the less response you're going to get. But the more you simplify it and you're just the local guy in the neighborhood, I have a question, please call me, your response rate's going to go through the roof. Like if I send out 100, if I put out 100 of those cards and I put, hi, I'm interested in buying as is, we buy houses, I'll pay all the closing costs in cash, call me, I might get, let's say, 5 calls, right? But if I put, hey, I was in the neighborhood, I have a question about the house, call me, Travis, I'm going to get a lot more calls because people are going to want to know, what do I want? People know what I want when I sound like a corporation. Man, that they just want to steal my house away from me, make a bunch of money. That's what they think. Okay. So that just simplify it. You know what I mean? Like anytime you're advertising yourself, simplify it that you are not this big company. You are just a regular individual looking to buy investment property. And that lowers so much pressure because nobody wants to be sold, especially by a company. That scares a lot of people. Now there's some people they want that. They prefer the company, the corporation, the franchise. They want to do business with those people. I get that. But 9 times out of 10, somebody wants to do business with someone who understands them, a real person. I'm done. Sorry.
Well, I mean, that's that, you know, that's it in a nutshell is we just felt like that we need to talk about the simple way to do the business. It's easy. It's not cold calling. It's meeting people. It's shaking hands. It's saying how you doing. Those sort of things. That's what makes this business. That's where the gold is at. If you're out there, you know, doing these things, you're trying to get going, you're trying to make some money and trying to get yourself going in this real estate world. That's the way you do it, man. It's not CRMs and it's not big lists and it's not all those things. It's just getting out there and talking to people and finding those vacant homes in neighborhoods and that's where the gold's at. And we still do it to this day. I mean, you hear us talking, we've got all the bells and whistles, but I'm still getting on Deal Machine and putting in an address to send a postcard. Or I'm calling Travis because I can't stop. I'm on the road somewhere and I see a house and I'm calling Travis, hey, look this house up. Let's get him on a drip campaign. Let's reach out to him. So Travis starts with a phone call and so we're still doing it. We do it every day. We do it all the time when we're out driving, just normal daily business, whatever. Just like the water guy yesterday cutting the water off next door. I call Travis. Hey, let's look him up. Let's get after him.
Yeah, this is what
Because
keeps you guys busy in a down market too. When the temperatures change and let's say you do have systems like we do. Right now in December, your PPC ads they slow down. All of your leads slow down this time of month. So now once you become proactive, you can start making up for that slowdown. And now you're in control a little bit more of what happens in the next 30 to 60, 90 days because you're having that outreach. And I guarantee there's somebody right now in Mayberry where I was just talking and they want to sell their house. But they might not answer their phone right now. They might be doing a lot of stuff. So if we can be in the communities, man. And again, I'm not against virtual wholesaling.
mm,
But I really do think if you're virtual, find you somebody local so they can be that local face for you because that helps out a lot. Like all of my virtual deals, the reason it worked so well is because I had a guy named Tim in Akron, and Tim was the local guy. So when, they had a good relationship with me on the phone, but they felt so comfortable once they could go meet Tim and they seen Tim and they looked him in the eyes and shook Tim's hand. Man, that's so different than every other wholesaler that's doing it virtually because most people just want to lock you up under contract virtually without looking at it, then send somebody out. So, what if you're the virtual wholesaler that actually can send somebody out first? Man, you build so much confidence. And there's so many people when you do things virtually that will never sign up. I promise. Like you will get people that will sign up, but those are people that really don't care. But what about the people who do care? I've closed some of me and David's biggest deals come from me sitting at the kitchen table with people. Straight up. Sometimes I've walked into houses before and they're sitting at the kitchen table waiting on me. And before I even look at the house, they set me down and we talk and learn everything about each other. Like, man, that's so amazing when you can do that.
yeah, that's powerful stuff you know, when you can do those things. It really is. So, lots of times I'll go out to houses. I mean, Travis may get the contract or, have him in a contract or getting ready to do the contract. And I come out, I'm usually the back end guy buying the houses and they don't even want to talk to me. They want to talk to Travis. So Travis has built that relationship. So, I just work back through Travis on everything. And I mean, so it's powerful. He's already built that kind of rapport with these people and it's just, it's hard to, it's hard to beat that kind of rapport. So go ahead. You're
Right.
muted, Travis.
Yeah, you got to do it by building those relationships. That's the only way. And people trust you. When people trust you and they know you're genuine, man, they don't want to do business with nobody else. They don't want to
Think,
call back the 9 other people that's sending postcards. They don't.
think about this. And this is something that I always think about when we do these is when you see that house, it's got all the postcards from all the different investors that's sending all the stuff and the mail's piled up and I mean, and the grass is high and this and that. How many phone calls you think those people get? They getting blown up. All kinds of phone calls from debt collectors to whoever in the world, because there's a lot of pain points going on. There's a lot of things happening in those people's lives. So when you can be the person that goes to the house, talks to the neighbor reaches out to the family, to him, gets in touch with them, that's how you circumvent all that, and you get them on the phone is by that communication with them. But if you're just following the normal channels of communication, they're just going to, you know, neglect the call, reject the call, not fool with it because they're getting killed by everybody. So, so you got to think a little bit about your seller out there too, what their life is like right now and what's happening to them.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, do we have any questions? Do we want to talk about anything? I mean, anybody have anything they want to add to it, you know? Or is everybody going to be crickets and be quiet today? It's a rainy day. I know it's raining here too. We've seen what Ricky was saying. We went from snow to rain. We're supposed to be back to snow again, which means appointments are slow, right? So this week I've looked at 0 houses, but tomorrow I look at 4, right? So yeah, you can text me that form, Shannon. That's cool. But yeah, so just stay at it, guys. Like in this time of the year is the slowest time of the year. December and January and February, it'll eat you alive if you're not active. So, just have conversations with people because, you're going to get a lot of, hey, call me back after holidays. I'm not ready until January. But, just last thing I'll leave you with is just dig a little bit deeper on that. If I could leave you guys with one tip other than everything we've did is this month, push a little bit further on those objections. Ricky, I totally understand. Thank you so much. Christmas is coming up. I know we're all busy. We have family we have to work on, right? But let me ask you this. Would it make it a little bit easier on you if you went ahead and just handled it now or no? It's okay if not. We can wait. Dig a little deeper. Don't be afraid to ask why. Why January? Why February? What's going on? Because sometimes they will tell you January, not because they want to wait till January, because they're just not trying to like commit right now for whatever reason. So figure out why. Don't just say, okay, I'll call you back in January. That's what everybody does. So sound different right now. Show that you care. That's how you make money at this time of year. While everybody else is wasting through lists and a lot of people stop their marketing right now. A lot of the big guys, they won't market at all around Christmas. So you guys have an opening right now, more than ever, you know? So while everybody else settles down, enjoy your holidays and all that, but definitely keep working. Because what I realized with real estate is you might be working today, but you won't see the fruits of that for another 30, 60, 90 days. So what you're doing now is the beginning of your year next year. Remember that. You want your year to look good, you want deals closing, you better start now. Otherwise, it might be summertime before you build momentum. Happens all the time. Um, Next week we got William Tingle on. He's going to be on here talking sub two, door knocking, foreclosures, all that stuff me and David don't like to talk about with door knocking. William's going to teach you about it, and he's good. Okay, he's been doing it for 20 years. Okay, so you guys got to come to that because any sub two question, David knows how to do that stuff too, but William's also very knowledgeable in it. And we're going to try to do that more guests. So, next week we got William. Then Christmas, we're not going to do anything that week because it's Christmas Eve on a Wednesday. We don't want to bother you guys. But New Year's, we got Jasper coming on. Jasper's a wholesaler in North Carolina, and he's crushing it. I mean, doing 20, 30 transactions a month. Like, he is crushing it. So we got a lot of stuff coming for y'all just because we appreciate you guys actually spending time with us. I don't know who would want to spend time with me and David. You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Y'all got some good info. I mean, I enjoyed today. That was good info y'all put out.
Thank you.
Any questions, guys? Anybody got anything or?
That was a nice call. Thank you so much. It made spending time with you guys very worthwhile.
Thank you.
Thanks,
That's,
Shane.
we we were scared. We were like, we
What?
don't know if they're going to like this stuff, you know? But at the same time, like that's what we all want. We want a simplified life and business. We don't want all this extra stuff. And the more we get sold on it, the more we're like, gosh, is this really what it's going to take? Like, do we really got to spend all of this money to do this? And you don't. Of course, they're going to tell you that,
You know,
but you don't.
Preston, you put slow is smooth, and you're right. Um, Travis and I getting involved together, we knew each other in this market, and I watched Travis for almost 2 years.
He spied on me.
I
He's
watched him.
stalking
I
me.
knew we had a lot of mutual investor friends and stuff, and I just watched him before I ever approached him about us partnering up and doing stuff. So, you know, that was kind of our kind of my motto, slow is smooth. I want to make sure that I got a guy that's going to stick through the long haul and stick through the tough times.
Yeah,
And
totally. That's actually a snowboard term that we use out here in Washington because we do a lot of it's like slalom races and stuff. Um and the fastest person always looks really slow because they're just so contained,
Love it.
but they somehow beat everybody within seconds, you know. They get a way faster time just because they look smooth. But
Yeah.
everybody that's all chattery and everything, it's that they have like a way worse time, and it's funny. So that's the term: slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
it's fast. That's right. When things get tough here with Travis and I just say, hey, man, we're just going to keep chopping wood and carrying water, baby. You
Yeah.
know, that's what we do. We just put our head down and we go to it and things work out.
Yeah.
Keep the pump primed.
That's right.
Any questions? Anybody else? So we got a guest speaker next week. Uh,
Anybody
nothing.
you guys would like us to like, is there anything specific we need to touch on? Like, I'd love to do one on novations. I'd love to do one on burrs. I know burrs are real popular right now. Everybody's doing burrs, it seems like, or wants to. So, would you guys like stuff like that? Would you like to learn more other than just wholesale, like different exit strategies? Would that be cool? Okay, cool. Love it. Man, I'm happy to see you again, Preston. I know we missed you. And
Yeah, likewise, man.
yeah. All right,
Thank
guys.
you. Awesome.
Well, David, you want to lead us off here, man?
All right. We want to thank everybody. We're so grateful that oh, I seen co-living. That's kind of getting hot these days too. You see a lot more about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll try to bring some people on for that, and we got some guys too. We're going to bring on at some point doing mobile home land home packages. Uh, in our part of the country, mobile home is it's a big deal. We do a lot of mobile homes here, land home packages and stuff. So, and I'm sure that's probably in a lot of other markets like this too, the smaller markets. But we're going to try to get those guys back on. We done a call with them a long time ago, what, 7, 8 months ago, wasn't it, Travis?
Yeah.
Something like that. But we'll try to get those guys back on. They're killing it down in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're grateful you guys spent some time with us, and we'll be back next week with William Tingle, right?
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thank
See
you,
Enjoyed
y'all
it.
later.
guys.
Bye.
See you.
Good. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.